just beautiful and just innocent. I was like, I can't believe, this, young girl is in prison for 25 years or more. So, I mean, doing that letter, I kind of felt, I really felt a sense of peace from the letter, and it was just, overwhelming. Words can't express. It was just overwhelming.
So across all humanity, it didn't matter whether it was a man or a woman.
No, it didn't
Have that
matter.
thought.
No, it was just the thought of her coming to peace over, all that happened, and her being able to bond with her mother. That was the only thing, the message, that was the most important thing that, I tried to get off,
You
in a
definitely got
letter.
it across.
Yeah, it was really, really a touching piece.
I was going to say, and you notice Kevin had the prettiest hairdo of anybody in the company. You notice that, don't you? Yes, he did. The prettiest outfit. So it did influence him somehow, I'm sure. What else?
I have an experience of, like, that was the letter that I had to be the actor for.
I did too.
'Cause I
As far as choosing my piece, I do have a really good relationship with my mom, so it was hard for me to choose some of the other ones. But however, my mom and I helped take care of my great-grandmother up until the time she passed away. And I would remember my mom sitting there talking to me about how she remembers how young and vibrant my grandmother used to be, how she would work all these hard jobs, and she was just this beautiful woman with this long flowing hair. And watching her grow old where her hair was thinning, and her body, like you said, the skin does get loose. And she would just look at her hands, and she would just look at her arms, and she would look at how she wasn't able to do the same things, but her spirit was still there. And I remember her commenting on how hard that was for her. And then seeing that as a young person, middle school, high school, and just to see that there will be a gradual change. Your parents are not going to stay young forever. And, even seeing in my parents now, my God, my father, he was the same thing. He was those person who fixed every toy. He fixed every appliance. He loved to take road trips. It was just like talking about my family. And being an adult now, I relate to my mom more as a woman, and seeing her as, okay, one day that will be me, and I see the gradual change in her as she goes through her life changes, and my father as well. So I really related to the story from that aspect of it. So that's what I tried to think of when I did it.
it came through.
Thank you.
You tell them they can come in and watch.
Okay. We're all set.
Yeah, Kevin, do you have to, sorry. Do you have to leave, Kevin?
No, he said tell his wife to leave.
Oh, maybe you should do that now.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
You asked if there was a letter that called to us and if we felt a specific need to do that particular letter. And in my case, the letter that I did touch me. And it tricked me at first, because when I first started reading the letter, I could relate, because I have a brother, and I found things in the letter that I could relate to. And my mother always favored my older brother. I come from a Latin background, so the boy is the king of the house, and he had 4 brothers and sisters. He had 4 sisters, so he was always the king. And so when she first started talking about, imagine about my brother, if he'd done this, if he'd done that, and then it didn't hit me that she was talking because she'd fallen in love with another woman. I didn't get that she was gay. It didn't matter. And it was like, I felt like her. And then I started reading this letter and understanding her. I'm a writer and she writes, and there were so many things that were in that letter that I just felt she was talking to me. Please do this for me, say this for me. And then I got to the end and it was signed Laura. And my name is Lourdes. And I'm thinking, even her name starts with the same letter, and it was like this total vibe. And I had picked another letter originally, and Stuart had said, well, it's good, but see if you can find something else. And then I kept reading, and then I found that one, and it was like, that's it, that was the one. I knew from the moment I started doing it that was it.
And it seemed like your southern accent.
Oh, it just
so
came in.
natural.
It came in. I didn't plan it. I even asked, okay, guys, you guys probably are going to laugh, but I'm going to do this the way I hear it in my head. And I don't know if this lady is southern or not. I don't know where she came from, but all of her words, her meaning, her intent, everything, it just, and then the southern accent just came in, and I just could do it.
I think that's part of the beauty of it, though, is that whatever region or area or country she came from.
Right.
It came down to your cultural, your heart.
It didn't
Conversation
matter.
came right from your heart, and so where your heart grew up was with the Southern accent. So I think it couldn't have been more perfect that you did it in what was really kind of your first language.
It was just totally correct. Everything about it just felt totally right, and I think if she'd been sitting in the audience, I would have known who she was. I don't know how, I just would have known.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Interesting. John, what about you?
Picked a letter out of the book, but he picked the one that called to him. And why did it call to you?
I just picked a letter. I enjoyed the spirituality of it. Just for me, it wasn't about just the mother-daughter aspect. It was sort of mother, daughter, and God, and all of us kind of tying together in that relationship of, okay, I'm trusting my mom and handing her off to God. And it was just a lot of different emotions that were going to be going on, and it just looked really interesting to do.
And
It
when
looked
you
like an
did
experience.
It definitely crossed the barrier. Like there was no sex there. You weren't a man. You weren't a woman. You were just
No,
a human being.
it was just
passing.
it could have been a son to his father, a mother to it was just a person loving a person, and a person wanting that person to be okay, and letting go of that person, and letting go of themselves so that person could be where they should be.
And it perfectly came across your first time acting or your first class.
know you guys are amazing.
definitely.
Thanks.
You really managed to, because part of this project that's so exciting for us is the way it crosses humanity. And there's always that question of there's men doing letters to moms, but you guys have totally proved it does not make any difference whatsoever. It's just all,
It's all the essence of.
it's all there.
Levita, I had a question for you. Levita, right here. During your during this process, I know that you were doing your own healing. Can you talk about that a little bit, about your own healing, about your mother, and how this called to you, how this whole project called to you?
This experience for me has been very profound because my mother passed away not quite a year ago. And when Stuart introduced the project, I think I was, before he finished his sentence, I was flinging my credit card to him because I so wanted Thank You to be a part of this. Unfortunately, I wasn't here when my mother passed, so I had all this sense of guilt and sense of I can't help. I don't know what I'm doing. Strangely enough, there was another letter that that Lisa suggested the first rehearsal, and Stuart has this incredible knack for choosing something for someone, because the one that I did, it's interesting, my parents did divorce when I was 7, and even though I'm an only child and I wasn't spoiled, there were parts of me that would try to trick my parents to stay together and talk together. Mommy, Daddy's on the phone, he wants to talk to you, that kind of thing. So that kind of brought like a lot of memories. I still feel so raw. This project means so much to me. This will be one of the most incredible memories I'll ever have, giving birth to my child, and this is right up there with it. I miss her so much, and I can't really explain this connection. It was just the timing of this is just incredible. So nothing happens by accident, and I am so honored to be a part of this project, and this was a way of me saying, I miss you, Mom, and I know she's still around me. So thank you very much, everyone, for allowing me to fall apart and be raw. But it was very healing for me, because I felt like you caught me. So thank you very much.
Ariel, I have a question. I know that you have a great relationship with your mother, and just a girl being so young like you, and this is deep stuff. This is intense stuff. So for you, I wanted to know how you experience this from your point of view, from being a girl and reading these letters and hearing them and being in this process.
My experience of doing this, this was a really exciting experience, and I really enjoyed it. And yes, the letters, like everything was very deep and everything, and very emotional, and it's kind of hard to deal with it sometimes, but I haven't really gone through anything because, like, I'm so young. And,
And happy.
yeah. And, since I've never really experienced anything, it didn't really affect me, like, in, like, a bad way. But, I just really enjoyed this experience, and thank you.
Well, it's interesting that you say it that way, because what I was thinking was, I was picturing all the girls who actually do have that kind of relationship with their mom that were adopted, and you gave all those little girls a voice. And it was appropriate that it was a happy letter, because that's where, where you are in your life right now. And that voice came out very clear amongst all these older, experienced people that you were up there with. You were very strong, and you had, a very amazing voice that came out of that little body.
Well, thank you.
She's really a 40-year-old Mitchell.
Say no. Your hands are amazing.
My hands.
Yeah, the way you presented yourself with your hands. Did you notice her hands when she was?
The withered, crooked hands.
Yeah, but yours aren't. Yours just came across as very graceful.
Thank you.
And I just had a great image, with the hands. But I also, we don't want to make any age things here, but you're maybe on the kind of opposite end of the little girl that's being adopted, at a different place in life. And the way that you presented your age up there, to me, you were ageless. I actually do remember thinking while you were up there a couple of times, she could be 40, she could be 70, she could be any age. You just kind of were this woman and had this voice for a mother, for a daughter, and the hands just gracefully expressed you all through it.
Thank
That
you.
was very impressive.
Thank you. This was truly a memorable experience for me. And when I did this piece, I know Stuart picked it out for me, and I just felt that I could really sink my teeth into it. But this was totally opposite of what my mother was, because she was just a truly loving individual who just gave me so much, even though she had terrible things happen during my childhood. I mean, she lost a husband at an early age. She lost 2 sons. But we were very, very close, and she always told me that whatever I wanted to do, I could do, and just do it. And just every day is a gift. And I always remember this. But this was very good because this brought out a lot of other things for other people. But this woman really grew, and she learned, and she stood strong. And it was wonderful. And thank you, Stuart. And thank you, everybody. This was wonderful for me.
Okay, my letter, my mother was completely the opposite. I mean, I had a wonderful, wonderful mother, just like Betty. I have a wonderful relationship with my mother, as is. For me, the letter that I projected was of a homeless girl, and for me actually was quite difficult because it's not something that I've ever experienced. So yeah, I had to dig very, very deep and really try to think who this person was. And I mean, I really hope that I was able to project it out well, and I hope that I was able to give other, these poor women out there who don't know where their mothers are, who have had awful mothers. I hope I was able to give them a voice. But it was an amazing experience. It really was. Very, very amazing experience.
Talking about how it just started
Yeah, yeah.
organically and you didn't have to
Organically, so using the O word. What? No chemicals, it's all natural. It was interesting when the project started. I asked on the first night of rehearsal, why did you do this project? or what brought you to it? Because I did not, as sometimes I have to do in my other classes, do a sell job on it. It just like, I would mention it and show the cover of the book, and they would go, okay, sign me up. I mean, it was that easy. And I asked each person, what drew you to this project? And it was an incredible spiritual force that just like thrust each of them into the project with no explanation, with no reason. So everybody that's in the show wanted to be here. The ones who really, not being negative, didn't want to be here disappeared. It really wasn't for them. It was a commitment and just something that leaps out of that book. It just leaps out at you. I don't know what it is, you know, but perhaps it's possessed. I don't know. But even the, I can see where that's happening in the media. Joan Fleischman, a local columnist here for the Miami Herald, just had a good feeling about it. She picked up on it too. It just has that kind of magnetism. It's really rather wonderful. The same thing happened to me. We were joking earlier, Lisa and I still don't know what she's doing in my studio. We don't even, I don't even know why this happened tonight. You know, how did this happen? It's just like this magical, the magical mystery tour, I call it. It just keeps going and going. It's true.
Because of taking care of ourselves and, you know, ignoring our health because we want to take care of other people instead of ourselves. And just wanted to know, like, how that impacted you, because I thought you did a great job with the letter and acting it out, and it's very powerful.
Well, the letter that, Jeanette's letter, was really touching to me at first when I started to read it, because even though my mom doesn't have cancer, I have had grandparents who died from cancer, from lung cancer, from one of my grandmothers had breast cancer. And I could relate to that illness. And for me, it was definitely inspirational because I could see my mother, even though, like that woman in this letter, I would call her if I need her, she's there, you know, and she calls me every single day. She doesn't live here in Miami with me, but if I need her, I know that she's always going to be there for me. But sometimes I call her and I'm like, so what is going on with you? And she's like, okay, well, I feel sick. Have you gone to the doctor? No, because I have to do this and I have to do that. And that part also I related a lot to, because I know that a lot of mothers go through that. They'll be there for anybody and they'll rush through anything, but to take care of themselves, it costs a little bit more trouble. So definitely that's one of the reasons I chose this letter, because I related to it in a lot of different aspects. So I think that once you kind of know by your maybe experience or through other people's experiences, that's what kind of helped me develop it and, you know, have a feeling for it.
Yeah, I love it. I do. Don't get me started. I'm trying to be so low key. You know, usually I never come from out that corner back there. I never come out behind there. And they're not used to seeing me so covered up, but that's okay. That's the next thing. But one of the things I think, for me as the teacher here, this Creative Workshops is still an acting school. First and foremost, we're an acting school, and I have to allow the student the freedom to fail and to make mistakes. So I decided when we started the showcase that they were going to be able to make mistakes and go on for the first time, and have that right as a first-time artist to do what they needed to do. And it shocked me because leaving them alone and let them go through whatever metamorphosis they needed to go through, it was incredible to see the dynamics of each student change, which of course you couldn't see on the tape, but to see that everybody give a magnetic performance, which you all really did. But Katya really went through a metamorphosis from where I could hardly hear her or hardly get her to say her name on stage. She's turning into this real, hellfire. And I think that the showcase really helped her with that. Don't you think, Katya? You're on, kid.
I think so. Well, I definitely think that it was a progress in my acting, and especially, I don't know how to say this, but it was a letter, and it was the whole project, and it is something so personal. And although I cannot completely relate to my letter, I must say that all of those letters, even though I cannot relate to all of them because they're so extreme sometimes and so much pain, they always kind of had the aspect of I could learn from them, and I could kind of, it enriched my perspectives on others, and I could maybe not so much understand, but show more tolerance for other people that I don't have patience with sometimes. And in my progress, let's say, as an actress, well, you know, I'm that's a compliment. Thank you very much. But it is more a thing of I was able to express what the letter said, or hope to at least. But I think, you know, it's not so difficult because the letters were so strong. They have their own perspective and they have their own voice. So it's just a matter of projecting it. And, you know, I think the book did all the work, and we just kind of showed it to the audience.
Good. An actor, you can
World
see how it
peace.
helped you as an actor.
Gabrielle, was this your first time?
Yes.
Saying that, it was
your
my.
first time on stage?
Yes.
Talk about that.
Okay.
My
What
first.
was the, I'm just curious now because I didn't think it never occurred to me it was your first time on stage. You definitely have a love affair going here. But you wrote your own letter.
Yes.
And what was why with the, you know, I know why the guys did it because, I mean, they're guys and we didn't have them, but why did you choose to write your own rather than?
Okay. Well, I chose to write my own letter because I wanted to feel what those women were feeling by writing a letter to the mom. Because, I mean, my mom and I, we have a great relationship, but we never talk about our feelings. We know we love each other, and we know we're there for each other, but I never say, Mommy, I love you, and you're this, and you're great, and you're special. I never do. So I'm like, this is a nice opportunity to do it. And then I wrote my own letter, and I read it in front of everybody here, and they're like, you gotta do your own letter because it's such a happy letter. That's the way I feel, totally. I can never tell nothing wrong or nothing sad about my memories with my mom. My mom is, for me, is like spirit. It's like happiness. It's just smile, heart, all of that in one. And then maybe, I don't know, it was such a learning experience because I heard about the book, like, not all the letters are happy. And I'm like, can somebody hate their mom? Oh my God, what's that, you know? Can somebody feel angry about the mom or sad? Because I never felt it. So I think it was a nice opportunity to tell my mom all the feelings that I have for her. And actually my letter was like 3 pages. So I gotta cut it and cut it and cut it and cut it because I couldn't stop writing. I was just writing like all my heart. And I haven't given it to her yet because I say my skills was that I have to translate it to Spanish. But I'm just waiting for the right moment to give it to her.
In English?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? That's interesting.
Yeah, I read it in English.
I would have thought you would have written it in Spanish. It brings a very interesting balance, given that it came from, not that there weren't happy letters amongst the thousands of letters, but it's interesting that you really owned it, coming from the emotional release that you wanted to project was about happiness and the pure state of love between you and your mom.
Yes.
And that's interesting because a lot of this work that we're doing with the emotional release and all, people tend to go in the other direction. So I think it's really great that, you know, you did 3 pages
I know.
out of seeing what was there.
And I had to stop because I was thinking about it and I'm like, oh, I forgot to put this. Oh, and I forgot to put, and even today I add more things. I don't know if you will notice it, but I add new things because it just come to my mom. I think about my mom and she makes my day every day. When I'm sad, I just have to think about my mom. And before I came today, I called her and said, Mommy, you know what? I'm gonna read the letter that I wrote for you and I'm gonna read it for everybody. And she's like, oh, okay, but what are you gonna say? I'm like scared. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. You'll find out.
Whose lap did you sit on in the audience?
Those two guys.
Oh, somebody you knew.
Yeah.
Interesting, because there's a famous psychiatrist who, when he does this process with people about completing emotions, one of the things that he likes best when people go back and they keep adding, and that some people actually don't want to ever give the letter away, not because they don't want the person to know it, but they want to keep the ongoing
Yes.
process where they actually keep it at some place like on a shelf where it sticks out from a book so they can always see it. So whenever they think of something, they can keep writing.
And
it
that's
down.
what I've been doing. I have my phone and I keep on writing things. I say, Mommy, it's not ready. But you're going to do it on stage tonight. Yeah, but it's not ready. You got to wait. It's not ready. Because, and I wrote that letter. It looks happy, but the first time that I wrote, like, the last part, when I say thank you for feeding me, I cried. And I was crying the whole day. And I'm like, but that's true. She didn't have to have me. She didn't have to feed me. She didn't have to love me the way she loved me, and she did it. So I got to be grateful for that, and I will be until I die.